We're having another recipe making today. It's my little bit of alchemy. I'm going to try to make UnChicken, so a chicken alternative for all you vegans out there. It's quite an easy process. You need tofu, medium firm, not extra firm, anything other than extra firm or silken. I've mixed these in already. I tend to pre-mix my spices, but there's 5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 teaspoons of sea salt, 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, and 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. So I've mixed them all in here. The other ingredients, other than the spices and herbs and nutritional yeast, there is some olive oil. Actually, I'm using avocado oil. And Vital Wheat Gluten, which isn't something that a lot of non-vegans have use with, but it goes into a lot of the alternative meat products that you buy in the store. And it's fairly inexpensive. I think it's just on your own, watered down flour will leave you with gluten. So it makes everything much more elasticy. It's really about the texture with this. This recipe calls for 3.5 cups, depending on how thick you want it. And I've made this once before. I found it made a whole lot of pseudo chicken breasts or burgers or strips, whatever you want to use it for. Quite a simple process. You mix everything except the wheat gluten into a blender or a food processor, and you blend it all till smooth. What I found better, the recipe actually that I'm using calls for blending it in the processor, but I find it gets too thick. So what I plan to do is once I have these ingredients blended, I'm going to pour them in a bowl, and I'm going to stir in my wheat gluten by hand. I'm just going to go ahead and do that part now. So this is my medium firm tofu. Not taking too much trouble with how things go in. I'm going to add a cup of water, my spice and nutritional yeast mixture. Then I need to have a 1/2 cup of oil. And I am going to use my wonderful Blend Tech blender to blend this until smooth. So this is my wonderful Blend Tech. We'll see what it does. It's really good to have a really nice blender. I'm going to start low-ish and see what happens. You can scrape down the sides if you think you need to, but it looks pretty good to me. So I'm just going to pour this into my bowl. Doesn't look like chicken yet, does it? This is where the magic happens. Now, I haven't actually eaten chicken for 23 years, but I think the flavor is actually pretty good.
As far as you can remember.
As far as I can remember.
So Kitty, why are you making fake meat? People don't make fake broccoli.
No, but first of all, you eat broccoli on all the diets, not just vegan or non-vegan. So why would you? Second of all, I didn't stop eating meat because I don't like it. I think having artificial meats that we typically buy adds something. We don't eat it in quantity, but if I'm making a stir fry, it adds some texture. Tofu is great. So this is really, if you wanted to look at it as not seasoned, a fake meat, you could say that it's seasoned tofu that I'm going to use in my stir fries or in my burgers. You know, and nothing died for this. It's not bad for the environment. It's cruelty. It's less cruelty. It satisfies my urges, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that without dipping into what I think is a cruel and inhumane industry that is destroying the planet. So this is the magic stuff that we're going to add 3 to 3.5 cups of, and it's going to get all nice and thick. I'm going to start just putting in 3. I find once you start stirring it gets thick really quick, so it might be hard to add. And if I need the extra half, I'll work it in. My measuring is never totally exact anyway.
Magic begins.
Let's see what happens. So I want something thick enough to roll into a log. And I think I actually can add a little extra. Because this does not look finger workable, does it? So let's start with about 1/2 cup. Oh, it smells good. Probably can't get that, can you?
No. There, it's thickening up. So most of the smell is actually the poultry seasoning, which isn't actually chicken. What it is, it's a blend of thyme, sage, marjoram, rosemary and black pepper and nutmeg. You could possibly make it yourself. How's it going, Kitty?
Good. I think we're getting there. Boy, it does smell good. I'm just going to have a dry surface here. And my little mass of goo is going to go on that dry surface. And I'm going to roll it into kind of a 3-inch ball. Well, more like a 3-inch log. Odd looking little thing. I'm going to go get a knife so I can cut up this log into pieces. And then you fry them for a few minutes to get them browned on all sides. And strangely enough, you put them in a water and soy sauce mixture till they're completely covered and simmer them for half an hour. And they come out like UnChicken. These will become my little servings. Huples, you can help me if you want. A couple made into more burger shape so that we could have them as chicken burgers. So I'll make this my longish one. Fairly forgiving, you can just squish it around, a bit like Play-Doh. They also can be, when I'm done, sliced and then marinated or mixed with sort of a black bean kind of a sauce. And they're good on rice, with rice dishes, with steamed vegetables. Because it is quite tasty, I find. And what are you making, Huples?
Finger.
A chicken. A finger. All right, that's enough to get started with because I got my pan heating. A little bit of oil in my pan. All right, here goes some burgers. And again, I'm just browning them before actually doing a little simmer thing. Sticking a bit to my pan. We'll let these brown a bit. Flip them over.
Are you flipping over yet?
Sure.
So what are you adding now, Kitty?
I'm just adding, it calls for soy sauce, but I have Tamari. I tend to use them. It's just a fermented soy sauce in the boiling water that we're going to simmer them in. So just going to add a little bit of flavor and a little bit of salt. So the last part, strangely enough, is to put them in water with soy sauce. It's boiling. Or bring to a boil, and you simmer it. And once I get it all in there, I'll turn it down for half an hour. And out comes my strange little product, which we will enjoy for multiple meals. Yeah, so it's boiling now. I will turn it down. Get it to a little bit of a simmer, and I will cover it. And I will leave it for 30 minutes.
Kitty has an induction oven, which is why it's responding like that.
I do, and it's a bit of sunshine today anyway. I try to cook mostly when it's sunny because we're trying to be mostly solar. Try to reduce the amount of propane that we use.
Now they finished their boiling process, And they're ready, and you can see how many we made. It's quite a few. And I guess it's time to eat them. So I'm going to have the chicken nuggets with the addition of some alioli. Still a bit moist because it hasn't dried out properly. But it tastes like a chicken finger. Not bad. 10 out of 10, kitty. This has been a very cute Terry production 2023.